It's now 10:05. The quarterly meeting of the Executive Committee for the Louisiana Developmental Disabilities Council will come to order. Will Ebony Haven please call the roll for attendance?
Miss Ma'am, Miss Jill Hano here, Miss Angela Harmon
Here.
Miss Brooke Stewart, Mr. Eric Taylor
Here.
Miss Renata Washington.
Here.
You have four, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ebony. At this time, we will now have Ms. Haven to read the mission statement and ground rules.
The Louisiana Developmental Disabilities Council mission statement is to increase independence, self-determination, productivity, integration, and inclusion for Louisianians with developmental disabilities by engaging in advocacy, capacity building, and systems change. The ground rules are: members must be recognized by the chair before speaking, be respectful of each other's opinions, break for 10 minutes every 1.5 hours, discuss council business in a responsible manner, except as necessary, restrict the use of electronic communication, i.e. texting during council and committee meetings, silence or turn off all cell phones, be on time for meetings, no alpha, and side conversations are kept to a minimum, done quietly and restricted to the subject at hand.
Thank you, Ebony. To ensure the meeting runs smoothly and that we all can participate in an orderly manner, please adhere to the rules. At this time, we will have Ebony read the virtual meeting protocol.
For committee members and members of the public attending in person, please raise your hand to speak and wait to be recognized by the chair before speaking. To help the meeting run smoothly, please keep side conversations to a minimum and comments related to the topic we are discussing. For those committee members who are attending virtually, remember you must have your camera on and have your first and last name showing to be counted towards our quorum. Please keep microphones muted unless called upon by the chair. Electronically raise your hand to request to speak and wait to be called on by the chair. For attendees, electronically raise your hand to request to speak. Once recognized by the chair, your microphone will be turned on. After speaking, the microphone will return to mute. Also, the Q&A is only to be used by those needing an ADA accommodation to participate in the meeting. Public comment will not be accepted via the Q&A, except for those who requested the accommodation. As for order, committee members in person and virtually will be allowed to speak first. Public members in person will then be called on, followed by public participating virtually who have their hands raised. Comments in the Q&A will be addressed last. As with all hybrid meetings, it is difficult to keep track of all those wanting to speak in person and virtually. Please be patient. All comments and questions from committee members and the public may be limited to 3 minutes or less should we run into time constraints. So please keep that in mind. Also, comments about a person's character will not be allowed. Finally, members of the public will have the opportunity to provide public for each vote and during designated public comment periods. The chair may also use their discretion to determine if comments will be accepted outside those times.
We have a hand raised.
Do you want to take the public comment now?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Do you have any?
I didn't see the hand thing, so.
Yes. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to move to make a motion that we have a code of conduct be added to the DD Council's agenda for members. I'm not sure if this is the right time. I should have said that. Just a code of conduct for council members to clarify what's expected of them as far as their behavior, just a roadmap or guidelines, so that we all could be respected and that we all could be accepted and promote a more positive culture in the DD Council. So I would like to see that added to the agenda.
All right, there is a request to add an item to the agenda. Open meeting law requires that an item can be added with unanimous approval. Is there any objections? Hearing none. We will add that item to the agenda on at the last maybe, add it at the end.
Nicole, do we need a second? Or she just made a motion, do we need a second to the motion or no?
Yeah, I'm sorry, she made a request, it doesn't really have to be a motion.
Oh, it doesn't have to be.
But because it's a request, it does need to be voted on as unanimous, with unanimous approval, meaning everyone should agree or no one should object. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Okay, the chair recognizes Ms. Hayno.
I have a question, but I don't know.
Is it regarding
Yeah,
them adding something to the agenda? Okay.
so like, if, cause I'm kind of confused, cause what do y'all mean by adding to agenda? Would it be like something we would have to write? Like, I'm confused.
So according to the open meetings law, what Nicole just said is that you don't have to have a motion to add something to the agenda. If the committee members unanimously agree that you can add the item that Angela just asked to add, then it can just be added to the agenda.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. You want to add to the agenda to create.
Yes.
Okay.
To create a code of conduct for the
It's
council.
okay, it's okay. Any other questions?
But I figured it by myself, so that's how that matters.
Are there any objections before we move on? All right, it will be added after the council member retreat. Okay? All right, the next item of business is the approval of the meeting summary for the July 31st executive committee meeting, which was distributed. The meeting summary will not be read unless a member requests it. Are there any corrections? Okay, if there's no objection, the meeting summary is approved as distributed. Hearing none, the meeting summary is approved. All right, the next item of business is the consideration of updated council committee meeting rules. Ebony, please start the discussion regarding the updates.
Okay, so if you guys look in your packets, and the form is online, linked to our website for those that are attending virtually, but for those that are attending in person, it is in the packet. So the council. It's under the council meeting, it's under the agenda, the executive committee agenda for those that are looking for it online. Okay, so just to get the conversation started, the only thing that we've done to the virtual meetings protocol that the council approved in April 2024 was make it in plain language, separate the sections. It has the same exact information, but one of the things that was missing from the virtual protocol that is online, was the order of how comments were going to be made. So if you look in section number 6, where it says conduct and order during meetings. I'll just wait. Eric, can you do it? Okay, you got it? Okay, great. So this is pretty much the only thing that we've added to the, protocol was, just the order of how public comment was gonna be made. That was in the virtual protocol that each chair read before each committee, meeting and the council meetings, but it wasn't specifically in the virtual protocol that were online. So we have updated that part, just to say, because that first part where it says for committee members attending in person, that information is already in there. But if you go down to for public participants, you'll find the order. Comments from committee members in person and virtually will be heard first, followed by public members in person, and then public members participating virtually. So we just simply added that part to the virtual protocol that was already approved by the council in 2024. So this is just the updated version. And we pretty much made it more in plain language, more accessible for people to understand the meeting protocol. But most of this, not most of it, all of this is the same information that was included in the protocol that were established and approved by the council in April 2024. So I can answer any questions that you guys have, or if there are additional things that you guys want to add to the virtual protocol, we can consider that at this time.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to recommend the proposed updates to the meeting rules.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Jill has made a motion. Is there a second? Mr. Taylor has seconded the motion. It is moved and seconded to
I'm typing, I'm gonna share in just a second.
Okay, Ms. Hayno, question, your motion, what is, could you tell me what your motion is? Is it to,
I am
propose updates to meeting rooms?
to do, Nicole, do a motion to, whatever motion you do of that. The calls,
The proposed changes to the protocol.
yeah, and motion to accept the proposed changes to the meeting protocol.
All right, so Jill, you motion to accept the proposed updates to the meeting rules,
That's ma'am.
okay? Okay, and Mr. Taylor, you second to, a motion to propose the updates to the meeting rules, correct? Thank you guys so much.
Cool.
All right, is there any further discussion? Any public comment? Hearing there's none, we will have a roll call vote. If you are in favor of the motion to propose updates to, the motion to approve the updated council committee meeting rules and send the recommendation to the full council for approval. When your name is called, say yes. If you're opposed, say no. If you abstain, say abstain. Ebony, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Jill Hayno,
Yes.
Ms. Jill Hayno, yes, Ms. Angela Harmon,
Yes.
Ms. Harmon, yes, Ms. Brooks Stewart, Mr. Eric Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, yes. Yeah, 3 yeas. 0 nays.
Okay, 3 yeas. The yeses have it and the motion is adopted. Thank you, members. Okay, the next item of business is the consideration of the new council meeting schedule. Ms. Ebony, please introduce the proposed meeting schedule for us.
Okay, so the next 2 items on the agenda are, more so for just us to have an open discussion. I don't have anything proposed just yet because I really wanted to get ideas from the council. And I wanna have a discussion about this because we're trying to make the council be a little bit more efficient and have things be a little bit more cost effective. I know you guys are all aware that there is a government shutdown. And so council staff has started to look at our expenses, that are more administrative and how we can cut down on some of those costs. So administrative costs, if you guys are wondering, include like our office rent, which we're gonna talk about next. Salaries and benefits, travel costs, and those are some of the big ticket items when we're talking about administrative costs. But administrative costs also include things like our supplies, our phone bill, our internet bill, payments that we make to our designated state agency, and our designated state agency is LDH, the Louisiana Department of Health. So we pay LDH for like, human resources, civil service, payroll, IT services. So we pay them all out of administrative costs. So we were looking at trying to figure out ways on how we can cut those costs down. So we were looking at travel, and we spend a lot of money on travel. And so council meetings, they incur a lot of travel costs. Because we are, covering council member travel costs, which include like mileage, hotel costs, and one of our biggest costs is food. So since our federal funding allotment has not increased, we're still at that 1.38 mil that we get every year, but costs are rising, food costs are rising, gas costs are rising. We are looking at ways on how we can pretty much save money, on some of those costs that we're spending in travel. And so some of the options, I was able to go to the Executive Director Leadership Summit that I'll probably talk about at the next quarter because it was just last week. But some of the executive directors have started to look at cutting costs by, changing up how they conduct their council meetings. One of the executive directors, said that she does 2 virtual meetings and she does 2 in-person meetings, because they have 4 quarterly meetings as well. And so I thought that that might be a good option for the council, if we have 2 in-person meetings, 2 virtual meetings, and then that could cut down on some of the travel costs. But other options are like cutting the number of days that we have our council meetings. One of the councils that discussed what they do for their council meetings is for their committee meetings, they have them throughout the quarter, sort of like how we do our ad hoc meetings, where we have like the membership committee meeting, they met, in October, early October, so before the actual council meeting. So we can do like the self-determination and community inclusion meeting, like during that time, or the education and employment committee meeting between the quarters before the actual full council meeting. Another option would be like just reducing the time that we have our meetings. Right now, our meetings go from 10 to 6. Well, that's because we're in the library. And then on full council meeting days, we're having like an 8-hour meeting. So you guys can consider reducing that time, and we can look at our agendas and maybe see where we can cut out some of the things. Since we do get agency reports, maybe we can cut down on some of the time that we give them to present on their reports, because you guys are giving the reports. So if you're giving a report, they're supposed to get their reports in 2 weeks ahead of time. And if they adhere to that timeline, you guys will have 2 weeks to review those reports. And then we wouldn't have to spend the whole afternoon, you know, with them presenting on it. You guys can come prepared if you have questions, and that could reduce some of the time as well. Ms. Renata, Eric has his hand raised.
That's
What is, I hear what you're saying. What do y'all do when y'all pay the funds to get somebody here and pay for the hotel room? What is the cost of that, and how do y'all get that back if it don't be done? If y'all got a time frame for it in the call y'all before y'all do what y'all do?
Somebody, if a council member says they're coming in person, how much time?
And then what do you do if, say, if you put a room up and you pay for that room and you do everything that you're supposed to do, and then that council member says, oh, I'm not coming. How do that affects the board?
Well, it definitely affects the board negatively. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but Bridget and I changed up the wording in the RSVP email because we had that happen where a council member at the last minute had to cancel. She couldn't come for the committee meeting, so she couldn't come for her hotel stay. Well, we didn't know in time. We didn't know until like maybe the night before. And hotels have a strict policy that if you don't let them know 24 hours in advance, you're getting charged for their room.
Okay.
So that's how that negatively affects the council.
Okay, so what time frame do you have for the board to call y'all? What is the time frame that y'all have on the table for the board member to say, hey, I'm not coming? What is the time frame?
So that's the change that was made in that RSVP email that we sent out this time. I think Bridget and I decided it would have to be 72 hours in advance. That way we would have enough time to let the hotel know, and we would have enough time to cancel the meals. Because again, that we had already accounted for lunch for Wednesday and for Thursday for that council member. So those costs, I mean, we are out those costs basically.
Okay.
So we established, and if you guys wanna raise that more, if you guys wanna say 4 days in advance, because 72 hours is 3 days, I think you're, or a week in advance, that council members have to let us know when they're not gonna be able to make it, then we can change that up, but that's how that affects the council.
Okay, I might be going crazy questions, but I'm asking them, how much is the board spending on food just for the month? How much is being put in?
Well, it varies every time, Eric, and like, I can get specific numbers for you for next time, but it varies. So let's just take, the last council meeting. I wanna say we had about 25 council members that showed up in person. This council meeting, I think, based on the information that I've gotten even this morning, that some members are not gonna be able to make it, we may have 20. So the costs kind of fluctuate, depending on how many council members come in person, which is why one of the suggestions that I'm making is that you guys have 2 virtual meetings and then 2 in-person meetings.
Okay, and another thing that I'm concerned about, I mean, this is my opinion, I'm just saying, I mean, truthfully, I just think that once they went to the virtual stuff, and once they locked it in the virtual, I think that we lean more to the virtual. And we got to a point, hey, y'all can do this, not do that. I can understand that some can't make it, but once we lean to that virtual situation, I think that's where the board kind of came in with an issue thing, because it's the virtual making them, and I'm just speaking and not harming nobody, but I think the virtual made them lazy, like, oh, I can just hop on. What rules do we have in place for you just hopping on with the virtual?
Well, the same rules will still be in place, your same virtual protocol. In order to be counted towards the quorum, you have to have your camera on and your first and last name have to be displayed,
So,
so.
Ms. Evans, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
What I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying. They call you and say, okay, Mr. Evans, I'm coming. And I want you to give me this and give me the room and do this. But then, when they feel, I'm just speaking, when they feel like, oh, I'm not coming, because I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, then you done paid this money. What the board, what the council is standing up for, what their responsibility, once we, if it's not a non-emergency, what do the council have to stand up for, what's in place for them by doing it?
So, again, we changed the rules, Eric, so people have to let us know 72 hours in advance. Let's say they didn't, they're gonna be responsible for some of that payment, that we have to pay the hotel. That's the wording that we changed, that the council member may be responsible for paying some of the costs that the council, incurs from those expenses. So that would be the consequences if that's what you're asking.
Yes, ma'am, I'm
Okay.
talking about that maybe council. Maybe, I don't think that maybe should be put there. I think you would be responsible for what is needed to be done. Now, if you had an emergency, or you had,
Well, that's why we have the maybe, because some people, emergencies come up. So we don't wanna say, well, you're gonna be responsible. That's why the wording is, you may be responsible depending on what the reason is. Okay?
Question?
Another question I have, Chairman. How much, and you might, this might be an accurate question, you can answer maybe. How much what if we spending a lot on that, we really could look at, that we can basically look at and target at what is we spending a lot on?
So that's what this is why I'm bringing this comment. We're spending a lot of money on travel. Travel costs include council meeting costs. So the cost that it takes for us to conduct these meetings, it costs money for food, it costs money for hotels, it costs money for us to pay all the council members mileage, because members are coming from all across the state. And so those big ticket items, like our rent, salaries, we can't really do anything about salaries because we need our staff, right? But we need an office as well. So, when we get to the next item, I'll give you guys some more information about how we're trying to save on the office rent. But just travel costs is something that we can address right away if you guys were to change up how your meetings are conducted.
Well, I travel in the wheelchair. It's like
We have Mr. Taylor, no further questions? Thank you so much. Vivian, Chair recognizes you.
So as for cost, I think it's really important that we still have the meetings back to back because it helps us process all the information within a timely manner instead of causing a sort of delay into getting back into everything, especially for those who have transitional issues. Also, I think it's important that we review reports in person because it may be harder for some to process written words, or there may be a need for additional help in grasping concepts or understanding exactly what the report is discussing. It also provides an opportunity for people to ask questions right then and there that they may otherwise forget or not be able to ask. As for costs, it is incredibly important that we still allow traveling and hotel rooms and all of that because it's what makes these meetings accessible. If we want to lower costs, maybe looking towards a more family styled way of doing things, like crock pots or like, it's a complicated situation, but finding other ways of acquiring food that may be cheaper than restaurants, especially since restaurants are having to charge more and more for food as the prices go up for food. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian.
I can speak to the amount about it all.
Yes, did you write this?
I was gonna speak to the amount it costs to get us here, it's like the hotel room, like my apartment alone is right at 150 just for us to go pick it up and get back one time. And the hotel room for the evening, mine's anywhere from 1 to 150, maybe more with taxes, I'm not sure if we get a special rate or not. I don't know. And then for meals and you get paid for gas on top of that, and I can submit reimbursement for all of that, for example. I don't have the time just to raise a money, because I don't see it here being an issue. But ways to cut back, I mean, bread sandwiches, we could check up and start getting lemonades, honestly. We had to put it together, that's an option for a lot, just to help to break some costs. I would be willing to bring, for example, my dad, but it's something to consider. But I was just gonna give that information just for an example, and then I can go like the amount that the travel regs allow for different for everybody, just for an example. I think everybody's familiar with that, so I just want to add that in, get an idea of what it takes to get some of us from Region 7 down here. That's just an example, but I just wanted to offer that information.
Thank you so much. I do want to address, any public comment, please be sure to identify yourself so I can know who I'm addressing, who we're speaking to. Any other, comments you have? No further comments?
I'm sorry, there are no answers.
Okay, we will propose these questions to full council, tomorrow, just to kind of get an idea and some more, suggestions, just to kind of have a little dialogue with that. Also, Ebony, something that I was thinking, you know, to cut down costs with food here, maybe we can break, like if we have lunch, we can, you know, go get our own, you know, food possibly, during lunch and return back at a certain time. That could be something too to look at. Having our own lunch, does that make sense? Like, that it's cool. Have our own lunch break, over, we need to go and come back at a certain time, maybe.
Deal? You're good enough for me to get lunch.
It's with the carpool.
Right.
Hey, it's Angela. Miss Renata, Madam Chair, may I speak?
Hi, Angela, yes, the chair recognizes you.
So I was thinking about the food as well. So other thing, maybe we just need to do more, I won't say cafeteria, but everybody kind of eats the same thing. And I know some people have dietary restrictions, but you may only have to be able to eat the vegetables if you can't eat the pasta. So it's a privilege to be able to choose what you want and have extra dessert and this, that, and the third. But maybe it could be more like one main dish, one salad, one big salad, one big main dish, and maybe that'll help cut down. That was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Angela. Great idea.
And let me clarify, can I clarify something real quick?
Yes.
So whenever I was speaking to the executive director who does 2 virtual, 2 in person, they're still having 4 quarterly meetings. And so, like, let's just take our meetings. Our January and April meeting will be in person. Not April. Our January and July meeting will be in person. Our April and October meetings will be virtual, if that makes sense. So we would still have 4 quarterly meetings. It's just that 2 will be virtual, 2 will be in person. You guys can pick the ones that are virtual, pick the ones that will be in person. If you guys wanted to consider that option, I think there may have been some misunderstanding when I said that we would just have 2 meetings. So we would still have 4 quarterly meetings. It would just be 2 are in person and 2 are virtual.
I like the idea, Ebony, especially everything that you stated, just being proactive, because we do not know what lies ahead. And just being proactive to even think about these things. I think that is something that we as a council should be doing anyway. So thank you for even bringing that to us.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking ahead because, like I said, we're in a government shutdown right now. I sent the council a memo just sort of explaining what our situation is. Right now, we have enough funding to see us probably to this time next year. Now, if the government shutdown continues, because we don't know when it's gonna end. However, once, hopefully, the government shutdown doesn't last until October 2026, and we are able to get our 26 funding, but with things fluctuating as they are, and then with the cost of things rising, I was just trying to maybe have the council consider ways on how we can reduce costs and just be a little bit more efficient with our council meetings.
Thank you for that. I will leave you with this. I think it's best for us to at least start thinking about it before we're forced. Would you rather be forced, or would you rather just be proactive on what could we do if the possibility of us having to, we never know. So when I say forced, I mean like, what if we have to minimize these things? What if it's, told like we have to do this? So I think it's a good thing for us to just at least think about it now,
I'll say one more thing too. If you have the conversation tomorrow during the full council meeting, whatever ideas that we get from the full council, the staff and I can kind of turn that information into a poll or a survey and survey the entire council to see how they feel, and just get some feedback, and then I can be able to present that information to you guys in January. So you guys can come up with a recommendation.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comments? Public? Comments? No. All right, the next item of business is the consideration of the council office move. The lease for the current building will end on November 30th, and staff have worked to provide new location options. The chair recognizes Ms. Ebony.
That's right. So this is another one of our big ticket items that I kind of mentioned where we can sort of say when the council staff has found a great new spot for us. Like our chair has just mentioned, our current lease ends on November 30th. And we're actually hoping to move into the new space no later than December 15th. So the new space is located in Baton Rouge as well. It's on South Sherwood Forest Boulevard. There's plenty of parking, and we'll make sure that we share that information once we move, through an LAPD groups and on our social media. But the great thing about our new office is that we are now gonna have a permanent meeting space. So we're not gonna have to go to hotels or to the library where we're packing up everything from our office and traveling. We'll be able to host all of our meetings in our office from now on. So that's a really exciting thing. And then we get to save money as well. Just hosting both our council meetings, our ad hoc meetings, and even, if some of our contractors want to host meetings in our meeting space, they can. So for partners or YLF or, any other contract event that's going on, if they need a space, they can utilize the council's meeting space in our new office. So just to let you guys know, currently we're paying about $47.60 per month for 2649 square feet. And now we will have 2708 square feet. And we're paying about $45.87 per month. So even though the rent isn't going down significantly, it is a savings. And we're just excited about the new space. We're mostly excited that you guys are gonna have a permanent meeting space and that we won't have to keep moving from place to place. We have, looked at moving companies and, everybody is within, I'll say 2 companies are within the range, that we're looking for. So, we're looking again to move around no later than December 15th. So I'm free to answer any questions that you guys have about the new office, if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Public comment? Thank you, Ms. Ebony. I'm excited. I'm glad that the staff will have something. There won't be such strain and stress on you guys moving back and forth. But we do appreciate all that you guys have done. So this is great. All right. The next item of business is the consideration of the council retreat. Ebony, can you start the discussion for that?
So again, this is more of a discussion for the executive committee, and if you want to get ideas from the full council tomorrow, like we're gonna get on the actual meeting schedule, we can. But I kind of wanted to talk about the council member retreat because last year, or this year, the retreat was in January. And so we're coming up on January again, so I wanted to know if you guys wanted to keep the council retreat in January, or if you guys wanted to look at another month for next year.
The chair recognizes Ms. Hano.
Thank you. I was even wondering if the retreat should be every other year. Because even though it was in January, I feel like we just had it and now we're talking about it again.
Mr. Taylor, you had it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so too. I think it needs to be every other year, maybe, with that, or, you know, like, years is flying down like water. I think it should be every other year. I mean, is we putting out a lot of information. The retreat.
So the retreat is more so for just the council members. It's whatever you guys want the retreat to look like, which is what this discussion was gonna be more about. So last year, the retreat was more so we need to know our role, what are we doing versus what the staff are responsible for, the responsibilities, the role of the council, what you guys are supposed to be doing, how you report to the federal government, those types of things. And then we had sort of a, let's come together and be council members together and work together session, sort of. So this discussion is more so, what do you guys want the retreat to be? Even if, like, or even if you don't want the retreat this next year, if you wanna skip a year, those types of discussion, this is what this discussion is for here.
I just, throwing this out there, even if you, decide that you would like to do it every year versus every other year, I would recommend at least maybe not doing it this January. That's gonna be tough to try to get that arranged in the middle of a move, trying to get our office situated to be able to turn around for a meeting. Cause like right after we move, we hit holiday times. And then we kind of ramp back up right before a meeting and getting stuff ready, and I worry about having to plan a retreat during that time. Cause also to save costs, we're like, someone is gonna come and pick up our stuff and move it, but we are packing up the office. This isn't most commercial moves where they come and do everything for you and you just show back up in your office, like we're doing a lot of office work. So that would be my unsolicited advice. At least for this year.
What date did you have in mind?
Oh, if you wanted to do it this year?
If we wanted to?
Oh, just not January.
Just not January?
Yeah.
No other suggestion for a date?
I mean, if you guys wanna tie it to a council meeting, it's either gonna have to be January, April,
Or
July or October.
yeah. But if you're trying to keep an annual schedule, then you would probably wanna do it earlier than October, let's say, of next year, so you'd be coming back up on January, if you get it in January. Other things to consider is you're in the middle of legislative session, if you do it in April. July is a little more quiet, I guess. But yeah, I just, if you wanted to have one this year, I would just say not January at least, because that would be tough to do together.
And then also, I don't know, like, well, with the legislative ad hoc committee is different, but the October meeting is pretty tiring because it was like making the legislative agenda is a chore, y'all. I think, yeah, July may be a good date, and I was like even thinking, I mean, like, I think a year may be too soon, but I think a year and a half may be feasible.
Thank you, Gio. I do wanna say with us having new members, I know the council for us was very enlightening, and with us having, new council members, I think it's important, we definitely need to do it. As soon as possible, because that, if you want effective members, then we need something like that in place as soon as possible. Because it took us a while to get something like that, but when we did have it, it was amazing. So I think that we may not, considering you guys, but that is something to consider and worth considering with you guys moving. But we do need to have that retreat as soon as possible. And as far as continual dates, I like what Jill said too. But really and truly, we need to have it when we have any members. For sure.
Okay, so as soon as possible will be the next January meeting, so, but yeah, we're moving. So April will be the next option, unless you guys wanna have the council retreat between the January and April meetings.
Why are you so quiet?
I know.
Give me your suspension. Not only that, I wanted to not be low for you, okay?
No, I'm not.
Okay, sorry.
I got muscle spasms in my back.
I get it.
I understand what they saying about them being in the moving area. And I understand what the chairman's saying, but at the same time, I feel like we gotta be considerate of y'all moving into the building and that's the vibe. Intake of moving us where it was right.
Well, we kind of really stated that, we all are considerate of the move. We're now trying to focus on when we're gonna have it. So the question is, as soon as possible, when? What date would be as soon as possible?
So what
Because
was,
January is out.
so Madam Chairman, may I ask them? What would be good for y'all?
What would be ideal for us? Probably be tied to the April meeting. It would just give us a little bit more time. Well, April is in the middle of, the April meeting is in the middle of the legislative session, like what you just mentioned.
Imagine this.
I would say it probably is still easier to do April than it would
Yeah,
have
then
been
it will be
in
January,
January.
you know.
Let me ask you this. I wanna ask y'all, I mean, when is our next meeting?
Wait, I'm sorry.
29th and 30th of April, I believe, are the meetings.
So could we, Jennifer, what you think? Like we doing today, would it be feasible to, I don't know, maybe drop the meetings and
You know, who does the meeting?
I mean,
Are
no,
you
no, no.
saying-
What I'm saying is,
I got you, I'm just.
I mean, would it be feasible to draft the meetings and then do the,
You mean like meeting doesn't happen?
no, what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying.
Oh, good.
What I'm saying, instead of doing the meeting, do the retreat, and we can basically. do them instead of-
So no April meeting, just a retreat only?
So, okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, you can,
Well, I
I think you were
was
gonna say the same thing I was gonna say.
We have done it where we take away the committee meetings on Wednesday and we have the retreat. But you guys will still meet for the full council meeting on Thursday.
That's what
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
And your full council meeting is really just gonna be those agency updates.
Yeah.
And, you know, you board budget, but you wouldn't have committee reports, your committees would not have met, so there's no committee business that is done on that Wednesday.
That's what I was.
When did we do last time?
Added a day. We added the Tuesday. So y'all had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, those are long days. I mean, so you wanna take that into consideration? Cause Jill just talked about how the October meeting is tiring, which is why I was suggesting the two in-person meetings as well, cause these 2 days of meetings are long and, you know, we get tired. But going back to the retreat, we can definitely, we have done it in the past, where we have not had the committee meetings, and you guys have done a council retreat on a Wednesday instead of having the committee meetings. But this year, because I keep saying last year, but it was just this year, we added a date in, January, whenever you guys had your council meeting, so it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so you all.
What will work best for the staff is probably if we took out the committee meetings and we did it Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
I know Stephanie had her hand raised.
Which one was, cause Jill had hers too.
Because I'm on council.
That's right.
I wasn't gonna say that. So, my October and okay, so because with the legislative ad hoc committee, last year, our meeting didn't go really much more smoother. It was time consuming because we had and also if you're saying this April 2019 as if you're talking about the committees meeting in the quarter, then I think the Wednesday would be free anyway if we do the committees in the quarter. Right.
Yeah, so she's going back to the suggestion that I made that one of the other councils, I think it's the Georgia Council, instead of having 2 days of meetings, they have their committee meetings throughout the quarter. So they just have one council meeting day. And so Jill's saying if in January, the council decides to do the committee meetings, well, you guys will make a decision in January, so and then it would take effect for the April meeting. So let's just say you guys voted in January and you decided that instead of doing the committee meetings on Wednesday, you would spread the committee meetings out throughout the quarter, then the Wednesday will be free. And you guys can have the council retreat and then the full council meeting the next day. And you would still be able to do the committee reports that Brenton was talking about, because those committees will have met before the full council will meet in April. Does that make sense to everybody?
You make me sound so good.
That was a good idea.
Because I think we've had this conversation before. My mind, like, once we talked about, like, doing the committee meeting in the quarter, and I'm feeling the mind, I was like, all right, we're having, yeah, my mind, don't go in there. Danger, danger, danger.
So I truly.
All right, Ms. Stephanie?
I'm sorry, never mind.
You sure?
Yeah, I had to check something and I was getting confused. So never mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we are to do that, Ebony, we would have to make a motion today for that, right?
For the council retreat or for which one?
Wednesday meeting?
To have the committee meetings meet throughout the quarter?
To free up the Wednesday?
Yeah, I would suggest that you guys make a recommendation on motion.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion regarding a recommendation to the council for the I don't know, how should I say it, Jim?
I don't even know what you're saying, and I don't know.
Thank you. I'll get.
Yeah, I can explain. She's talking about the idea that you just suggested, Jill, instead of us waiting until January, you guys can go ahead and make a recommendation to the full council.
Sorry.
So the recommendation will be what you said, to have the committees meet throughout the quarter.
The meeting, the committee meeting throughout the quarter is opposed to all day the day before the council meetings. But also, it's gonna be close, like when I don't wanna meet in November for a meeting in January, like pretty roundabout close to the time of the full council meeting.
I may have missed, but it's just for clarity, would this be starting like after the January meeting? Or, I guess that would be my recommendation, to make sure this starts after we go through the normal January meeting,
Oh.
because then we can't have these committee meetings between now and January.
So,
Then we're back in a move situation.
so are you saying that you want me to put in the motion starting April of 2026?
I am not telling you to do anything.
Starting after the January.
I think I was just getting clarity from myself.
Okay,
Because if you vote on it tomorrow, are people gonna think it means it starts tomorrow? And then we have to have committee meetings before January?
So we would just have starting after the January 2026 meeting in the recommendation, right? Debbie?
I mean, if you
If
can
that's
put it,
what y'all
yeah,
want.
that's what you want.
I'm more so getting clarity, we're gonna do whatever you tell us.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna read, what we have, recommend to the council to have committee meetings throughout the quarter rather than the Wednesday before the council meeting, starting after the January 2026 meeting.
rather, should I say in lieu of, rather than,
That's fine.
I like that. In lieu of.
Wait. Is.
Yeah, we're gonna sort it out. Hold on one second. And then you guys can wordsmith it.
We ready? Alright.
Do you guys want, or do you like this wording, or did you wanna change anything up on your motion, Jill? Does this capture what you wanted?
Yeah,
She wants in lieu of.
well, no, cause, wait.
In lieu of a full.
So Wednesday before the council.
Okay, Jill, once they finish, I want you to, if you don't mind, just make the motion as it reads on the screen, and then we will get a second.
Okay. I move that we have the standing committee and at 378 subcommittee sending throughout the quarter in lieu of the Wednesdays before the full council meeting. Starting after the January 2026 council meeting.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it is moved and seconded to have the standing committees and Act 378 subcommittee meet throughout the quarter in lieu of the Wednesday before the full council meeting, starting after the January 2026 quarterly council meeting. Is there any further discussion? Any other public comment?
There are none, Angela does not have hand raised.
I have my hand.
Okay, the chair recognizes Ms. Harmon.
Okay, I'm sure I missed something while you guys were talking, so I apologize ahead of time. So on the Wednesday, are we still planning to have a Wednesday meeting even though the other committees will meet throughout? Or like even for the executive committee, would we have a Wednesday meeting?
No.
So Angela, you all will be considered a standing committee.
Okay, all right, I gotcha.
Now, I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
Can
go
I
ahead.
say- I'm just trying to address your question. Y'all's meeting will probably be more towards the full council meeting. If that makes sense. The executive committee, in my mind, would still meet really closely to the full council meeting, just because things come up. And I try to present information to the executive committee before it goes to the full council. So depending on what's happening, I'm pretty sure that your meeting, the executive committee meeting, will stay kind of close to the full council meeting, if that makes sense. But I can't give you like a date or anything.
No, that's fine. I was just kind of getting some clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon. The chair recognizes Ms. Vivian.
One thing to note is it will still cost you money either way, whether we meet throughout the quarter or on Wednesdays before the council meeting. Because we would still have to buy a rental and come down here, it would still cost money, especially since it would increase travel times and the amount of rental being purchased. Also, I would like to ask if there's any sort of accommodation we can do. It hurts to raise my hand, especially for extended periods due to a disability-related issue. Is there anything we can do about that?
Could you repeat that, please? The last part
Which part?
of the, you said, what can we do about that? Can you just repeat it for clarity?
That was the last part.
Okay, so what was your question? Can you repeat it?
Can you please accommodate me? It hurts to raise my hand, especially for extended periods of time. What can we do instead?
That's a good question. I think that, thank you, and we do apologize, if we didn't recognize your hand in a timely manner. What we can do is work together to make sure that I'm able to know who has their hand raised. And we will try to just keep it in mind, who have the hand raised, and you can put your hand down.
I had my
So that's
hand raised
something.
before there was a motion on the floor.
Oh, well,
It's kind of difficult for us to keep my time.
Yeah, because of how the room's set up.
That's our lunch.
Right.
That's kind of our plus to see behind this.
So yes, once again, we apologize for that, but we can probably think about how we can do it because it is hard for me to see behind as well. But we'll work together to try to accommodate that.
It's how the room's set up. I'm just asking if there's anything.
That's okay, that I will, we may not have an answer right now, but we will definitely we're gonna consider that,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
And you can also sit at the table if you would like, Ms. Vivian.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're so welcome. Any other public comments?
There are not one.
All right, so we will have a roll call vote. If you are in favor of the motion to have the standing committees and Act 378 subcommittee meet throughout the quarter in lieu of the Wednesday before the full council meeting, starting after the January 2026 quarterly council meeting. When your name is called, say yes. If you are opposed, say no. If you abstain, say abstain. Ebony, can you please call the roll, please?
Ms. Johanna?
Yes.
Ms. Johanna, yes. Ms. Angela Harmon?
Yes.
Ms. Angela Harmon, yes. Ms. Brooke Stewart? Mr. Eric Taylor? Mr. Taylor, yes. You have 3 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, the yeses have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you, members. All right, the next item of business is the consideration of the code of conduct. Ms. Angela, you have the floor.
Yes, I want to make that motion due to the fact that sometimes I feel like in a heated conversation or we all get passionate that sometimes we lose the respect for others. And I feel like if we had a code of conduct for our members, that gives you a guideline, that gives you a roadmap, or it helps you define what's acceptable and expected behavior coming from the committee. And it also, to me, would serve to be a positive cultural change for us. It's because, like I said, we're all passionate and we all want to be heard, but sometimes it teeters on the line of being disrespectful. And I think if everybody had a clear guideline of what is expected of us as council members and how we handle situations, we could remain positive and we could all work collaboratively together. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Angela, and just to expound on that, oh, go ahead, Vivi, go ahead.
We do have ground rules as well as bylaws, which isn't a code of conduct, but a code of conduct implies that there are consequences and punishments to actions, which is not possible to enforce with the council because we are all equals here and no one's able to necessarily discipline us or remove us. That's more to do with the governor.
I wanna answer that, Ms. Vivian. The code of conduct is something that's in place, it'll define acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior.
That's what the ground rules do, you know?
I'm sorry?
Don't the ground rules already do that?
No, the ground rules doesn't, and the bylaws does not have a clear description of conduct. It does mention a few items, but it's not clear. So I do think that, moving forward, change is always good. It's something that we want to do on the, as a path forward, as promoting, respect and integrity among all individuals and to clearly define these things. That teacher part in me, I like things to be clearly defined so that we will know what it is, what it looks like, and hold ourselves accountable. Because this is a great council, it protects the reputation and integrity of the council. And I think it's something that needs to be written, to add more to the bylaws and the ground rules, if that makes sense.
So the bylaws committee's already passed for the 5 years. Another thing to consider is the ground rules do say not to attack another person's character, and it does lay down a few key rules that we should all be abiding. The only thing about this is these rules are not enforced. When a person's character is attacked, no one's sent out of the room, not even briefly, and the staff do not stop it, which in that case, that might be something we want to explore, but a code of conduct seems contradictory because there's no way to discipline anyone, and we're all adults here and should know how to behave with one another and respect one another. I think if there should be any legal issues, then that's a separate issue altogether.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Do other councils have a code of conduct, and what would that look like?
There are some that may have it, and we can explore it a little bit if you want to know. I don't have the information on hand right now.
I think it's a good thing to explore if we're considering having a code of conduct.
And we have, oh,
Well, I was just gonna say, other councils, they do have codes of conduct, and if you guys are interested, I can definitely look up or reach out to the other executive directors, across the country and see if they would be willing to share those codes of conduct with us. But as far as, I was just listening to the conversation, and so I know in the bylaws, there are really in the policies and procedures, right, Nicole? It would be, you would find the code of conduct in the policies and procedures part and not necessarily the bylaws, correct? Okay, so right now, there's a policy and procedure regarding, council members' attendance. And so there are consequences tied to those. If you don't attend or if you're missing a lot of meetings, there are consequences. And so if you guys are looking to do something similar, as far as like codes of conduct, we can look at the wording that you guys have for attendance. And you may wanna have something similar for the code of conduct.
yes, I think that's a great idea. We just wanna expound, wanna make sure everything is clear and, that we have, you know, clarity on what's acceptable, unacceptable, and things like that, so. Okay, the chair would entertain, motion to direct staff, draft a code of conduct for the council to consider and possibly adopt. Ms. Angela, do you wanna make that motion for me?
I'm sorry, sure. I move to make a motion that a code of conduct be, what I'm gonna say,
Draft
be
it.
drafted, thank you, by the DD Council staff for executive committee review, I don't know.
Great.
Okay.
Is there a second? All right, it is moved and seconded to, direct the staff to, draft a code of conduct for council to consider and possibly adopt. All right, is there any further discussion? Any other public comment? Yes.
For clarification, who seconded the motion?
Mr. Taylor.
Oh, Mr. Taylor. All right, thank you.
Okay, we will have a roll call vote. If you are in favor of the motion for the full council staff to draft a code of conduct policy to consider and adopt, when your name is called, say yes. If you are opposed, say no. If you abstain, say abstain. Ebony, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Jill Hayno,
Yes.
Ms. Hayno, yes. Ms. Angela Harmon,
Yes,
Ms. Harmon, yes. Ms. Brooks Stewart, Mr. Eric Taylor.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, yes. You have 3 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, the yeses have it and the motion is adopted. Thank you so much, council members. All right, next is the public comment period. Is there any public comment?
There are none online.
Okay, since there are no public comments at this time, we will have announcements, and once again, the chair recognizes Ms. Haven.
I have no other announcements besides the rest of the committee meetings that are occurring today, from 12:45 to 2:30. We'll have the self-determination and community inclusion meeting. From 2:45 to 4 p.m., we'll have the Act 378 subcommittee. And from 4:15 to 6 o'clock, we'll have the education and employment committee. And then tomorrow, of course, is your full council meeting, from 10 to 4.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Haven. Is there any further business? Okay, hearing none, if there is no objection, we will adjourn the meeting. Hearing no objection, this meeting is now adjourned at 11:25.